I think the most outstanding mission was on the 24th of December during the Battle of the Bulge. As most people know, the Battle of the Ardennes Forest, commonly called the Battle of the Bulge, the Germans, that was their last push, and that was on December 16th, and they took advantage of the absolutely miserable weather and zero visibility conditions. And they pushed on, and we couldn't support the ground troops with any air support until the 23rd of December, when they did get a few fighters up. And then on the 24th, it was real clear, and we were tasked to hit the bridge at Euskirch in Germany, in which take the bridge out, keep the Germans from bringing up reinforcements, but then also would keep the others that were already up there from retreating as George Patton came up to reinforce the people in the Bulge. I was flying number 3 spot on a flight lead. That would be the left side of the lead plane of a 6-man flight. And we bombed, dropped on the bridge, and turned off. We had been briefed that this was a last-ditch effort by the Germans, and that there would be heavy flak and probably lots of fighters. Typically, the German air control would be when the flak stopped, that was saying that the fighters were coming in. In this case, the flak kept coming up, and the fighters were coming in through their own flak after us. And I looked up and saw a tracer going over the top of the canopy, and the tail gunner said, "Here they come." And the first plane that hit our flight pulled up just above us. He couldn't have been more than 20, 30 feet above me. And my top turret gunner was firing away. And I saw, as I glanced up out through the top of the side window in the top, I saw the bullets puncturing the ME-109 just in front of the cockpit, and he walked up and hit the engine, and puffs of orange flame and black smoke came out. Then he came back across the cockpit, and the plane hung there, seemed like an eternity. The tail gunner says he just exploded behind and below us. Then the tail gunner was firing away. And then typically the Germans, when they attack close, one plane will go over, the next plane will go under, and then over, and then under. And there were tracers in that, but my top turret gunner got one destroyed. The tail gunner got a probable. And then shortly after that, an ME-109 pulled up between me and the lead plane. We were flying reasonably tight formation, because we had only shortly before then turned off the target. And he sat there, and he was square. You could see his square goggles, and he looked at me, and he looked at the other plane, and back and forth. And I still remember Fred Crandall was the lead bombardier, and he was looking out through the nose at the spinner on the prop of the ME-109, and his eyes got big like saucers looking out. And my co-pilot was bouncing around, pointing, "I see him," and he never could get an explanation. Never understood why he would pull in between us, and it was probably 10, 12 seconds, and that maybe 20 seconds that he was there, and then he disappeared. And then shortly after that, I saw a ME-109 out in front of us, going from left to right. He was probably 200, 250 yards out in front of us. So I slid slightly to the left to get away from the lead plane just a bit. And I thought, if that ME-109 turns into us, we don't have anything in the way of forward firing power for defense. So I thought, I'll get some tracer out there to warn him that we see you. And so in sliding out, I hit the triggers, which is on the wheel of the control column, and it probably was maybe a 5 or 6 second burst to get the tracers out there. All of a sudden, he started smoking and going down in a steep dive, and went into disappeared into the lower undercast. Whether or not we were over Germany, whether or not he crash landed, whether he bailed out or made it back to his base, we didn't know. So they gave me a damaged on an ME-109. It had to hit the engine because it was smoking. But we had 4 forward-firing guns, and so I just wanted to get some tracer out. Tracers are loaded, 1 in every 5 is a tracer. And so I wanted to have him see the tracers to know that we knew he was out there. And so what hit him, or where it was hit, I have no idea, but it must have hit the engine because of the smoke that was coming out of it. As near as I could tell, I was the only bomber pilot in Europe to ever shoot down an ME-109 fighter. There was fighters in the area. We did not have direct escort. I saw a P-38 shoot down an ME-109, and I saw it was just a milling mess of bombers, German fighters, American fighters. It was just a swarm of surging around. So I only saw one actually shooting down, but there was an awful, the Germans lost a lot in that thing, but as I said, I only saw the one. We frequently would get small hits and small holes in the plane. And I don't know if I did or not. I know an awful lot of tracer went over the canopy, and if it was down just 3 or 4 feet, it would have done some damage, but I don't recall any damage during that mission.
Didn't the Luftwaffe get kind of decimated towards the end of the war?
They were short of experienced pilots, but even worse, they were running out of fuel. So they could not put up the fighters that they had previously. And what ones they had, they were using them to defend the homeland. That was my 64th mission. And so after that, when I landed, not shortly, but a day or so later, ops officer, he says, "Hey, Dick, one more mission and you're eligible to go home. You want to go home, or I have an opening to send somebody up to spend a few days as liaison with the troops at the front line, or do you want to go up there with them for a few days?" And I thought, go home or take the visit with the troops. I'm not quite sure. I said, "Lou, I'll go home." Well, as it turned out, the weather again was bad, and I didn't get my 65th mission until the alternate they had chosen had gone up and had already come back.